of each of the parvas. Like you can see the big ball, that is a Shanti Parva, that is a big ocean in itself. Then Anushasana, they are very big parvas. Then the Vana Parva is there, and you Adi Parva, and you have the war parvas like the Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and Shalya Parva. They are relatively smaller in size, and the blue color one is the Harivamsha. So you have to include that if you consider the 100,000 verses. Otherwise, excluding Harivamsha, it is only 74,000, close to around 84,879 verses.
Which edition are you following?
So I am currently following this graph is based on the Bengal edition of Ganguly translation. And here it's again to understand the size of Mahabharata. You can see the comparative size of other texts, like Ramayana is the green color, small. Yeah, so you can see towards the bottom you have the size of Ramayana, and for curiosity's sake I have put all the 4 Vedas, so Rig, Atharva, Yajur, Sama Veda. So there you can see the comparative size, and there is a dark blue. There is just for curiosity's sake, it's not a Sanskrit text but Iliad and Odyssey. So you can see the kind of the size. Yeah. So when we say that 100,000 verses, it's actually when you represent it pictorially, you see the kind of the size. It's like something like when you think about planets, it's like a Jupiter, and all the things are like small other smaller planets. Like other things are all very, very small. And of course, there is a Skanda Purana. This is just confusing because it is only like I have added up all the different versions of Skanda Purana. Otherwise, it will not be as somewhat relatively big. So it will be a small Purana. But currently, we don't know how to differentiate the different versions of Skanda Purana. So we have to club it together. So it comes somewhat like this. So obviously, Mahabharata is the largest Sanskrit text, or maybe one of the largest texts anywhere in any civilization that we have. Now I come to the main part of my analysis, that is the geography. So how it came about. So I looked at Vyasa as a historical person. Then you can see that he is coming from a great lineage. His father Parasara was an astronomer, and Vasishtha is actually a Vedic seer. He has contributed to the Vedas. So he has started with classifying the Vedic corpus into 4 divisions like Sorik, Yajus, Sama, Atharva. So that is why he got the title Vyasa, because he is classified, he is divided. And then his unique contribution is the Kurukshetra war narrative. And because it is just, he is like narrated as if he has seen it. So that's why it's called Itihasa, it happened thus. And it is actually to be rightly called as Jaya, because that is the only part of Mahabharata which is like it happened thus. So that is his main contribution. And he has also have imbibed the various field. Currently we call history, astronomy, geography. So that time there is no such differentiation, but all these things are embedded into it. So he has created a seed, a seed of growing knowledge repository. So that is how it is able to rise from this humble beginning of 8,800 verses and becomes 24,000 and 100,000. And you can see when you look at Jaya, it starts with the astronomical observations and geographical analysis. So astronomical observation is is discussed a lot. For yesterday's paper, all actually are about astronomical observations. So you have a few chapters dedicated to the observation Vyasa is making, like the planets are at these locations and all. Based on that, you can find out the exact date of Mahabharata. So a lot of scholars have done that. And my part is the geographical. So subsequent to immediately after the astronomical, it start about geographical. So that is where I'm focusing at. And you have it's mentioned about every corner of Bharatavarsha, every corner of it. And that is how, like for example, you can say that it's representative of all of the India. So you can say that there is a travel narratives of military as well as pilgrimages. So people travel around the peninsular India and comes back. So Vyasa can be considered as a real visionary behind the united Bharata. So much before now we call 1947, you have India. And we think that after the independence we become a nation. But it much before that, such kind of thoughts were there. I mean, in a form of a sense of oneness. So again, here this verse, it's a very curious verse because Mahabharata is, you can see its position between the Vedic and Puranic paradigms. Like you have some aspects of Mahabharata as Veda. So it's like Idam hi Veda. So it's like some of the aspects of Mahabharata is like a continuation of the Vedic philosophy, and the rest of it is like a Purana. Like you can see the kind of very strange, very magical narratives, everything. So it's like Puranic. So it's somewhere in the midway of Vedic as well as the Puranic corpus. And the core part of Mahabharata is like it's a narrative of what is seen in before your eyes, and that is Itihasa. So that is how this sits in the middle of the Vedic as well as the Puranic part. So, for example, the Itihasa part, it's very clear, like in the subsequent verses, you say Jaya Name Itihasoyam. So there it clearly mentions the Jaya is the Itihasa. So if you think about the rest of Mahabharata in the form of with the same kind of integrity of Jaya, then it may not be there. Like it's like something like some things happened in the past and your narrative memory. But in case of Jaya, it is like things are happening and I am reporting. So that is the difference. So Itihasa, it happened thus, is actually more true description for the Jaya than the rest of Mahabharata. So then again, I have try to find out how can I distinguish Jaya, Bharata and Mahabharata. So there are different definitions for that. So the most interesting definition I have taken is, so Jaya is like a conversation between Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra. It's a somewhat starts in the Bhishma Parva and ends at Sautika Parva in the current stage. And Bharata is actually, there is a conversation between Vaishampaya and Janamejaya. So in that Vaishampaya and Janamejaya conversation, then you talk about, okay, in that Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra are talking. So there is a second level of frame tale. And on top of that, you have Mahabharata, that is Sauti Saunaka Samvada. Then it is 100,000 verses, where Sauti and Saunika are talking about what Vaishampaya and Janamejaya are talking about, who themselves are talking about what Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra are talking. So there is three levels of conversation. So here actually I try to find out which should be considered a start marker, because currently we cannot discover Jaya, because we cannot understand which are the verses which actually part of Jaya. So I want only you can see markers. So one interesting marker is there is a verse in which a varam is there is a boon. A varam is given to Sanjaya. Sanjaya varam dadav. So that is there in 6 Bhishma Parva, 2nd chapter, 8th verse is there. And after that you go to Sauti Parva, you see at 9th chapter 58 that pranashtam tad divya darshitva. So that varam is gone. So that the divine eyesight of Sanjaya begins at Bhishma Parva and it ends at Sauti Parva. So these can be considered as a marker for the defining Jaya. But we cannot tell that, okay, these verses belong to Jaya, because Jaya we don't know right now, we don't know, it's dissolved into Mahabharata, so we don't know actually. But these markers you can see. And there are other markers like Bhishma's death and Sanjaya returned from Kushagra. Some people consider that. Bhagavad Gita is considered as one of the starting point. And you can also start like the first conversation, first word uttered by Sanjaya. That is at 5th Bhishma Parva, 5th chapter, 9th verse. And the last verse uttered by Sanjaya, that is again in Sauti Parva, 9th chapter, 58th verse. So these are the markers for identifying where is the Jaya located. So why do I do the exercise is because I want to actually find out, filter out the geographical data which is probably part of Jaya and not necessarily part of the rest of the Mahabharata. So you can see this is the Jaya Paravas. So for example, Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna and Shalya and me about the rivers, mountain provinces, and forests. So then it's slowly taking us into the geography. So the first chapter, first verse which is talking about is like the entire world. I mean, so anybody can have any ancient culture can have an idea about what the world is looking like. So this is a very rudimentary kind of understanding. I'm not claiming that they have gone all over the world and mapped the entire world, etc. So there is a verse which says that here. So Central Africa and the South America, this is like people tree, and the Americas and the Eurasia is look like the hair. So I'm not saying that it could be an information that has got into the this Mahabharata after extensive study has been gone, and there is a lot of analysis done that map making is one of the important area in which at least even before Gupta period we have some kind of expertise. So we don't know exactly when this information got injected, but it is there. I mean, there is some kind of a correspondence. And then it talks about the six like mountains, the big mountains, and in between these mountains is the livable places where there are kingdoms and people are living there. So they have starting from the south to the north. It is Himavat, Hemakuta, Nishada, Nila, Shweta, and Sringavad. And in between these mountains, there are 7 regions called Varshas. So the southernmost is the Bharatavarsha. It looks like a bow shaped. And the northernmost Ayodhya, again it's a bow shape. And in between these 6 Varshas are Himavat, Harivarsha, Ilavrata, Sveta, Hiranyaka. So here also there is some kind of a rudimentary knowledge of geography that the ancient people have had, whoever composed the Mahabharata. So they have it. I mean, some information, either Vyasa or some other descendant of Vyasa have a knowledge of it. But it is a rudimentary, like it's like an expert opinion passing through a layman. So Sanjay is a filter. He is a layman, and there is some expert information through which is passing through Sanjay, so that it's not accurate, but it's not cannot be rejected also. So that kind of a scenario. So if you look at there was many other scholars have attempted to map it to the whole of Asia, but I am just considering that it is the region which is exactly to the north of Bharata and reaching up to the Siberia, whereas they don't have any knowledge about anything related to China or to the west. So they don't they have no kind of understanding about the western and eastern part of Asia. But it's like somebody has traveled from the Himalayas and then headed straight away. Some sages might have headed straight away to the northern ocean, and whatever mountains the ascetic have encountered, maybe Narada, I don't know. So they have encountered and they have listed it out. And if you really embark on a journey from the Himalayas to the Siberia, you will encounter these 6 mountains. So this is a mapping. It may not be accurate, but it can be a starting point. I mean, we can do the further research and have some debate on it, whether it is exactly this or that. So this is how, this is a very kind of probable mapping of all the 6 mountains. Like for example, Himalayan range, Hemakuta is the Kailas range. Then exactly north you have Kunlunshan range, and then Nila is Tian Shan. Then finally the Altai range and Sian range, and then it is Siberia. And you look at Siberia, the shape is a bow. It's like a bow shaped and Bharatavarsha again it's a bowl shaped. And why? And this is again a detailed understanding of this particular region. There are specific verses which actually clearly can identify Siberia. So it says that sun gives no heat there. There is no the stars are actually giving lights there. So these are all indicating a dark region. And in Siberia, you really have this kind of situation. And see again, this if you go through this verses, it actually expands that region between this Nila and Nishada and mention about the Meru central region. And it's a very well known, and many scholars have identified it with the this Pamir region. And it's divides now it's dividing it into east, west, and north and south. So in the south you have Jambudvipa, in the north you have Uttarakuru, and then Ketumala and Bhadrashva. So this, and if you look at wherever inhabitable regions possible in this area, you can see on the right hand side, if you see the same kind of a situation is there. Like in Bhadrashva, you have again a plain Tarin basin, and to the left you have again plains where people can live comfortably. And then to the south, of course, the Jambudvipa, and then to the north you have the Uttarakuru region. And so this is how it is. Am I in time? Okay, I'll just. So I'm just giving probable locations. These are actually, you can say, is all a probable location. There can be debate, discussion. So this Uttarakuru is there, which is there is a Alay Valley which is inside the mountain ranges itself. Fergana Valley is there, which is again a plain in Central Asia, and there is Ramanaka, which is this is a valley in Russia, and then Hiranmaya, this Hiranmaya region. So all these things are there. And this is the most striking is this Airavata description of Airavata region on the north of Singhavada and up to the margin of the sea is the Airavata Varsha. So there every description is very clearly indicating the real geography that is you can see there. And after that there is a Milky Ocean. So it's again if you look at the Arctic Sea, it is white in color because of the ice reflection from the ice. So all this matches. Then comes actually the focus is on the Bharatavarsha. The Dhritarashtra tell me Sanjaya of this Varsha called Bharata. So then he starts talking about Bharatavarsha, and you can see this is the oldest you can say the rulers. So it's interesting to list the Indra as the first ruler here. So one of the previous paper actually I have mentioned about the connection of Indra with a possible connection of Indra with some of the oldest archaeological sites. And we have Indra, that city is now mentioned as Indraprasta. So why it should be all these things I have in a previous paper I have mentioned. So Indra has actually have a kind of a rulership or some kind of attachment toward this region. And then you have Manu and all the kings which are prominently found in all the Puranas. And here you have see the major mountains in Mahabharata in the Bharata. So Mahendro, Malaya, Sahya, Suktiman, Vrikshaman, Api, Vindyascha, Pariyatras. So these are all actually many of the names are even still the same. So you can very easily understand it. So maybe some doubt is there about Pariyatra. Some people consider it as a mountain towards in the Pakistan, but many of the reference in Mahabharata we want to place it within India, which is the westernmost mountain in India. It's Aravalli in the Aravalli range, and you have Vindhya, which is same. Sakhya is same. Malaya is again the southern portion of Sakhya. It's like in Kerala you have that. Mahendra is in Orissa, and Vriksha is there in Jharkhand region. And here you can see the very dense kind of verses coming up. So this verse, it is the rivers of Bharata. It's from in the Bhishma 10 to 12 to 35. You can see all the rivers mentioned in prominently it is found in today also is mentioned here. Many of them like Ganga, Sindhu, Saraswati, Godavari, Narmada, then Mahanadi, Shadadru, Chandrabhaga, Yamuna, Shadwadi, Vipasha. All of this, or you can mention. It's a very huge, dense data. It goes, and I try to find out, list out the total number of rivers coming around 150 rivers. Major one Ganga, Sindhu, Saraswati, Godavari, Narmada, Mahanadi, Sadadru, Chandrabhaga, Yamuna, Drishadvati, Vipasha, Vetravadi, Krishna, Iravati, Vitasta, Payashni. There are one of major rivers, but a total 150 rivers are there. an archaeologist should actually, maybe if they go to an exercise of finding out each of these rivers where it is, and if you can, this become a big asset for us in future. I mean, it strengthens all the cases. And again, there are provinces of this Bharata. So you always talk about 16 Janapadas, but you can here you see the number of provinces that is mentioned. It's huge, and it is the even when I'm putting it in the PowerPoint, it goes to some 4 slides. All these names of different kingdoms, and I have found around. I'm just winding up. So it's around 220 different kingdoms, provinces: Kuru, Panchala, Salva, Mantra, there's Kurujangala, Surasena, Matsya, Kashipasana, Jedi, Dasharnanga, Vanga. All these are prominent ones, but there are plenty of them. It distinguishing mentions the southern. Kerala is anyway today also Kerala. Maishaka is Mysore. Mushika is the Musiris, the northern Kerala. Then Chola, and then Konkana. All these are actually identified even now. Then the western northern kingdoms: Yavana, Cambodia, Puna, China. All is that there. Then there are like Sudra, Bira. There are the Kashmir, Khashag. All these foreign kingdoms, and then some Brahmanical kingdoms: Atreya, Bharatavarsha. So that these are there. Now, till now I have focused on Jaya. I'll just run through the other, this is like an analysis of the entire Mahabharata, finding out the nouns which is related to the kingdoms, villages, cities, etc. So the geographical data density in each parva I have mentioned. So whatever number you are seeing, whatever numbers you are seeing this on the third row, this is like in which parva this particular place is mentioned. So that's the signature of this particular name, nomenclature. It can be a name of a village or town or a city. So I'm just running through it fast. So you can similarly the forest. You can see the forest around 30 forests, and around names of 30 lakes is there, and then around 80 names of mountain ranges and peaks are there. And around 60 names of geographical regions, I mentioned in the beginning. So these are there. And there are holy places is one of the pilgrim places, Tirthasthan, around 300 places. I have find out each of these holy place in which parva it is mentioned, it is there. So and again 80 kingdoms, all of Mahabharata, not just into Jaya, but the entire Mahabharata is again around 80 kingdoms. And finally what I did, all this analysis data has to go somewhere. So I created detailed maps of Bharatavarsha. So this is one example. This is a kingdom map. So the level of detail is at the kingdom level. So some of the major kingdoms are mentioned. This is the northern kingdoms. You can see various Kuru, Panchala. Kuru is divided into 2. Panchala, north and south. Yeah, and then southern kingdoms you can see. And this is the city level. So you can see each kingdom and its city here actually.